From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we address the single question of how much money do I need to retire? And I'm going to tell you, this is a very personalized question. Do not take wide brush advice. We give you a very generalized equation to figure out if you're in the ballpark of what it would take to retire the way you desire. But I'm going to also show you in this show, there's some really bad advice out there from well-intentioned individuals. Your retirement can be anything you want it to be. And the objective for us is to figure out if you have saved enough money now to make it everything you've desired. We can do this by putting plans together. So without much lead in, I'm just going to take us straight to the show. And I want to tell you, if you like what you hear or you find it valuable in any way, give us an honest review, give us a rating, a like, a subscribe, or maybe even a share. Getting this message out to more and more people will help us make this retirement vision that we have of retirees retiring without worry and fear of running out of money. It'll help us make that come to pass. You're a big part of that, and we appreciate you listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. You're ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. You're really going to like this show if you are close to retirement or even considering the idea of retirement, because today I want to discuss a few things that I have seen recently pop up on the most Googled list of questions that retirees and pre-retirees are asking. We're going to go through four of them, four that are very important. We're going to debunk a couple of common myths about retirement, such as how much money you have to have. It all depends on what you need in retirement. It is not a pie-in-the-sky number that someone can just throw up. It's something that needs to be dialed in very specifically. And I'm going to help you understand how to dial that in, or at least to get it within a range that may be reasonable for you. We're going to discuss some of that today. And we're going to talk to you, if we have time, about some things that we do here at RDS Wealth to make sure that you can get the most out of retirement as you walk through this retirement journey. Now, at RDS Wealth, our goal is to be a partner with you to help you through this retirement journey with any questions you may have, and to essentially be there as either a sounding board if you just want to bounce ideas off of us, maybe a second set of eyes on certain decisions you're planning to make. And then we have clients who just have really no desire to even look for options. They just come to us to ask us to do all of the research for them, and we can help them make the best decision for their situation that they may be facing. This is pertaining to anything from investments to income and how or when they should start income from certain sources like pensions or Social Security, maybe even what investments should generate income and how long should you keep it coming from one account over another. Maybe you should split it up between a couple of different accounts. Should we pay off our mortgage? Should we pay off our automobile? Should we even buy a new automobile? Those are questions that are asked. Can we afford to do these things? And we help here at RDS Wealth by making sure that we have a plan for you, starting with the income plan, knowing how that expense is going to impact your overall plan. Maybe you have the question of, how will I pay taxes? How much should I pay? Those are questions that we build answers to inside of the tax plan. It's very, very important that you have that piece of your overall plan. Medicare choices, we help clients navigate through that, helping them select what options, what plans, what parts they should pick up with Medicare. And if they decide to pick up a Medicare supplement plan, we will help them shop that and know what the best premium could be for them. We will even discuss long-term care strategies and ways to help offset the expenses of long-term care and make sure that the nursing home doesn't take your house, your land, your car, or your money in the event that you need long-term care. And then we discuss legacy planning, making sure you understand where this money's going to go whenever you pass away, and is it taxed efficiently in the process. All of this is what we help a client with at RDS Wealth. When we partner, we become partners throughout this journey. There are a lot of questions, a lot of things that you face, and our commitment to our clients is to make the answer easier to find. And then, of course, depending on what we're discussing, we may even help you complete the task necessary to take the next step towards achieving your own objectives. Now, if this is something you need help with, if you need a second set of eyes on your current plan, or maybe some of the things I've just discussed aren't inside of your plan, maybe all you have is a basket of mutual funds and your advisors told you, well, you can take X number of dollars off every month and good luck with Social Security, or we don't really know if you can retire because we don't understand your tax situation. Or maybe it's just a decision around Medicare and you're facing these choices on your own. Our team is here to help. 270-600-PLAN. You feel free to reach out to our team, set up a time to talk. We'll either set up a phone call or an in-office visit. And if you want to set up a phone call on our website, you can go to rdswealth.com, set up a scheduled time to call or for us to call you. Either of those two options are available. We'd love to chat, and we would love to at least point you in the right direction for what your next step should be. Let's get to the first segment of this show. Every single week, we bring to you a segment we call the Pause for Positivity. This segment normally is filled with good, positive news, maybe a story, maybe it's just a positive reflection for us to stop and think about ourselves and how we can better ourselves or better the world around us. And, you know, the idea that we may need to better ourselves is not so much from a selfish standpoint, but instead we have to be okay in order to go help others be okay. So how do we change things about ourselves to make ourselves more prepared or more adequately equipped to go out and change the world around us? This is what we discuss here every single week in our Pause for Positivity section. This morning, as I was coming into the studio, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he actually caught me here at the Big Dog, Mr. Larry Smith. Many of you may know him that listen to this show on the Big Dog or any of the show stations that we're on, probably in South Central Kentucky. If you're in Western Kentucky or maybe North Central Tennessee, you may not know this gentleman's name, but I want to tell you a really powerful story that he shared with me about one of the stations that we're on, the Big Dog here. And one of the stations that we're on, 99.9 The Big Dog, it puts on a weekly talk show, and it's all about selling and buying and kind of like a flea market. And if you are familiar with this particular station, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On this particular show one morning, Larry said that he received a phone call from a young lady who was just down on her luck. Her husband had passed away, and she needed a little bit of help. She had trouble this particular month paying her water bill. Larry vouched for this lady live on the air and said he knew who she was and gave a little bit of a scotch, a little bit of a second, let's say endorsement of this particular lady, and said, if we can help in any way, Big Dog Country, let's make it happen. And I from my understanding, within minutes, Larry received a phone call from the water company. And this particular individual at the water company said that this lady who was on the air is now paid 3 months in advance with her water. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't finish the story, but I believe that the Big Dog Country came through for this lady with not only the water bill, but additional support as well. Whether it was prayer or it was monetary support, here's what I do know. I do know that the listeners of that show that particular day heard her cry for help and immediately gave her something that is worth more than silver or gold, and that is the gift of hope. the gift of hope is something we can all share with our fellow man. The gift of hope. All you've got to do is just give someone a little bit of hope, and they can change the world by themselves. When someone has hope for tomorrow, they do their best to live today. And it seems like the world wants to strip that hope from us every single day. And then you couple on the fact that you may have health issues, you may have financial issues, you may have personal issues that just seem to strip that hope from you. And when someone stretches out their hand and gives you hope back, it is worth its weight in gold. And I can't tell you enough how much this just warmed my heart to hear, because this particular lady, I don't know her name. I couldn't tell you who she was. I wasn't listening that particular morning, but this lady, no doubt, saw the goodness of humanity in random strangers, people she didn't know, reaching out to the water company to make sure she was okay. That's hope. That provided hope. And it was not just the money itself. It's the hope for tomorrow, that tomorrow will be a better day, that I will catch a break sometime down the road. This is something that we can give. Now, maybe you're in need of it. Maybe you are the one that needs hope right now. If that's the case, I want to give it to you. I want to tell you, from where I sit right here today, it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be easy. But life is worth living. And if you're in a powerful position, maybe you're in a position where you can actually give hope to others, I want you to be looking for that opportunity. And with everything inside of you, it doesn't have to be money. Sometimes it's just a smile. Sometimes it's just a handshake or a pat on the back. Give someone hope this week. Do it intentionally and watch how it changes your day. Watch how it changes their day. And little by little, watch how it changes the world. All right, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we are going to discuss retirement savings and how much do you really need to retire. Retirement's not all about money. We know this. But if you don't have some when you enter into retirement, it may be a tough retirement. How much do you need? Let's discuss that when we come back from this quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. I want to get to this topic because it is one of the most Googled questions about retirement, and that is, how much money do I need to retire? Now, before I take the time to answer this question, I want to tell you, if you're looking at it from this perspective, you are likely looking at it wrong. We see a lot of growth advisors looking at it from this perspective, saying if you are able to save, say, $500,000, then maybe you can generate $2,500 a month. Or maybe they'll say in order for you to generate $4,000 a month, then you need at least $1 million. And the reality is, it's really challenging for anyone to put an accurate pin on that number because there are so many variables that go into place. So instead of looking at it from you've saved X and because of that you can generate this much in income, the way that you should be starting an income plan is by asking yourself first, how much income do I actually need? Because depending on how much income you need and some variables that go along with that, like how much Social Security will you receive? When are you starting Social Security? Is there a more efficient way to start Social Security or other pensions in your retirement phase? Are there any expenses that may actually disappear later into retirement? Or are you going to go through any phases in retirement? Like, for instance, are you planning on traveling a little bit more in your first 5 or 6 years of retirement? when you really start to focus in on that, now you can build a true income plan for retirement. And with that, you have a very good chance of making your money last longer than if you just set it on a 4% or a 5% rule. Now, with that out of the way, I want to tell you, the way that we are about to look at this is probably not the most efficient way, but at least it'll give you a little bit of a guideline on where to get started. Okay, so when we sit down together, what I'm going to tell you is we're going to put you through a series of questions and we're going to help you understand how much income you actually need and how long you need that amount. Does it ever need to change? Does it never ever need to increase or decrease? And I'm not talking about due to inflation. We work that into every single income plan already. But what we do want to understand is, does your cash flow need to change to satisfy a lifestyle desire that either increases or decreases? And again, we put you through this exercise to help you nail down a true income plan when we begin to work on a partnership. But for the sake of radio, I want to go through a little bit of an equation here, an exercise that will allow you to at least see if you're somewhere close to the right track to retire. And so I want you to think about how much income you believe you need in retirement the day that you retire. Now, I want you to look at this from a perspective you probably never looked at it before, and that is any income you need over and above Social Security. So, for instance, if you made $4,000 a month in Social Security between you and your spouse, and just imagine that the day you retire is the day in which you take Social Security, then you would need $6,000 a month to hit a $10,000 income expense target. So if you knew that your budget every month was $10,000, you're bringing in $4,000 from Social Security, the number we are going to start working with is $6,000 a month of what we have now defined as the income gap. I want you to think about your unique income gap for just a minute. And if you're over the age of 59 and a half and you haven't nailed this number down, we need to talk. 270-600-PLAN will get you in touch with our team, because now is the time, over 59 and a half is the time to start focusing on that number. And you may ask yourself, why is it that over 59 and a half? Dale says this every week. Why over 59 and a half? Because now is the time that not only can you focus on that number, but you can do something about it. You can begin to manage your assets in a way to where you control those assets. You can put a focus on those assets, and you can actually tell them where to go and what to do. By doing in-service rollovers and doing IRA accounts, you now have the ability to determine where this money goes most of the time. So at 59 and a half, you have control over these monies that you've saved in qualified retirement accounts. So with that out of the way, let's discuss the income gap for a minute. If you can find your income gap from there, I'm going to give you this simple math problem to understand your ranges of what may or may not be an acceptable number for you to have saved to even consider retiring successfully. Now, the more you have, clearly, the better it is. But I would say if you haven't at least achieved this basic level of savings, it's going to be challenging for you to begin thinking about retirement unless you have what we call a pseudo-retirement, which is working part-time because you want to, not because you have to. And that's a totally different discussion. So let's start with this for a second. Let's just take the number that you need every month and then multiply that by 12. You now have your annual amount of income that you need, and this number is a gross number. So this is before taxes are taken out. Now, there's some math that you've got to be able to do to figure out what your tax situation is. And again, if you need help with that, give our team a call. We're here to do this. We do this every single day for you, not in this equation format. We just do it with you and for you right there in the office. But if you could get your before tax number, and let's just say that it's $6,000 a month, and with $6,000 a month, you know that you need $72,000 a year. That's multiplied by 12, right? What you're going to do now is divide that number by 0.04, and that gives you the high range of a comfortable number that you could get to and be able to retire fairly successfully. I would say that that number is starting to get into a very comfortable retirement level. And if you look at that, it's $1.8 million. You may think, my goodness, $6,000 a month. I need $1.8 million. Remember, this is $6,000 a month over and above what Social Security is bringing, what pensions are bringing, and what any other source of income may be bringing into the family. At $6,000 a month, $72,000 a year, a low end of what you have got to have saved in order to achieve that or even consider achieving that is likely going to be found by taking that number, again, the monthly number times 12, and then divide it by 0.06. 0.06. This will give you a $1.2 million number. This is a number that I believe would be comfortable for you to at least start considering the idea of retirement. And you're likely going to need to make some adjustments along your retirement years. But if starting out $6,000 a month in addition to all the other sources of income is where you're at, $1.2 million is definitely a number in which you could begin making the right plans and look to retire in the near future. $5,000 per month? Well, that multiplied by 12 gets us to $60,000 a year. And then that divided by 0.04 is 1.5. Divided by 0.06 is $1 million. So you would need roughly between $1 million to $1.5 million to generate roughly $5,000 a month in income. And I want to be very careful here because these numbers are somewhat arbitrary and definitely could be moved around a little bit depending on the tools you use. But I wouldn't want you taking unnecessary risk to try and generate income. So what I would like for you to do is have as much saved as possible. Clearly, the more you save, the better it becomes. But just to give you some idea of whether or not you're even close to the ballpark of where you should be, take the monthly number, multiply it by 12, divide it by 0.04, that's your high range, divide it by 0.06, and that becomes your low range of where you need to be, roughly, to be able to generate the income you desire. I'm going to go through some common ones here. Let's go through $4,000 a month. For $4,000 per month over and above Social Security and every other income source that you have to generate retirement income, you would need somewhere between $800,000 and $1.2 million. For $3,000 a month over and above every other source of income, you would need roughly $600,000 to $900,000. For $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month over and above all other sources of income that you and your spouse bring in, you would have only needed to save around $400,000. Between $400,000 and $600,000 should be able to get you where you are looking to be. This is inflation-protected income as well that we could start to adjust throughout later years to make sure you're still bringing in additional monies. Again, this is over and above what you are bringing in from Social Security. And to keep in mind what you would need for roughly $1,000, you would need to have saved somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000 in your retirement accounts, paying taxes along the way, generating $1,000 of before-tax money. So this is a good ballpark range. But if you're building your income plan off of this, or even worse, if you're just literally taking income based off of how much money you have saved and parking it into an account and hoping it's enough, I'm telling you, there's a more efficient way. We would like to do that with you. Being a second set of eyes on your current income plan could certainly help you make your retirement more efficient. We would like to show you how. We're going to take a quick break. If you need a second set of eyes, go ahead and give us a call, 270-600-PLAN. Do it in the break. Leave us a message. We'll get back with you with a time that makes sense for both you and an advisor on our team to sit down and begin discussing this retirement journey. This is only the start of it. Your investments is only one piece of an entire retirement plan. We want to help you build the whole thing together, again, in this partnership with R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to quickly take a break. We're already almost 24 minutes into this show. Time has flown by. Appreciate you hanging out with me. I think you're going to really enjoy this next segment. We're going to talk about this statement that was made by BlackRock's CEO saying that you must have at least $2 million to retire. We've already debunked that theory. And we're going to discuss the 4 most Googled questions for pre-retirees. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
Welcome back to the show. I want to discuss this gentleman named Larry Fink, who is the billionaire CEO of BlackRock. And he issued a letter in his 2025 shareholder letter that said something to the effect of almost no one is close to the number they need to retire. He says that there is a massive problem that is taking place right now with Gen X and even, if I'm not mistaken, millennials who have nowhere close to enough to retire. And then he goes on to say, even those who are entering into retirement in the near future will need at least $2 million to retire. And this is where I want to plant some flags. And I want to tell you that advice is just not true. Turn off that financial noise. That is not wise advice for our South Central Kentucky, North Central Tennessee listeners. $2 million. Now, if I'm talking to a Florida resident, which we have plenty of clients in Florida, if I'm talking to a New York City resident, which we have clients in New York City, or if I'm talking to even a Kansas City resident, which we have clients in Kansas City, you may be listening to the podcast now if you're in one of those states, cities, we have clients all over the country. But $2 million for South Central Kentucky is bad advice. If I'm talking to someone in a metropolitan area, maybe that's a wise piece of advice. But a lot of these financial experts, which we have the ability to rub elbows with when we go to New York City and we're on Fox Business and we're at CNBC and we're at the New York Stock Exchange, and I'm doing that on a regular basis. And I'm blessed to be able to do that because we can bring incredible advice back home to our listening audience and to the clients that we partner with. But when we are talking to them, we realize that they live in a totally different world than we do. So be careful in taking this advice. We just discussed in the last segment what you need to be able to retire. And the reality of most people needing $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month over and above what Social Security, pensions, any rental income, any additional hobby money, what that is bringing in plus $4,000 or $5,000 a month is a good lifestyle for most people in this area of the country. And so I'm going to tell you, this $2 million number that people are chasing, it's just not accurate. And I'm really upset to hear that someone so wise, who so many people trust with their retirement savings, BlackRock's a big fund manager, is giving such wide brush advice, making people feel like they just will never be able to retire. It's just not the case. It's also why, as we go into our last bit of information here on the show, the top 4 most Googled questions for retirees, and this was just a few days ago when I Googled this, what are some of the most common retirees are around income. 3 of the top 4 are around income. And they sound like this. When can I take Social Security? How do I protect my income from being taken due to the stock market? Number 3 is, what will the taxes be on my income in retirement? And number 4 is, how do I start Medicare? These questions are concerning retirees. And a lot of it is because we have growth-focused advisors, just like, and I hate to say it, Larry Fink's not an advisor. He's a CEO of a firm that employs advisors. And these advisors at these growth-focused companies are way out of touch with tools that are used in retirement income phase, as well as the decisions you must make in retirement income phase. Now, Larry Fink does mention some things here like long-term care costs and those sorts of things. But it's one thing to mention them or make mention of them in a conversation. It's another thing to put the plan together for them. So if you have questions like the ones I just listed, between 62 and 70, we all know that you can take it at any time between 62 and 70, Social Security. But if you aren't sure when you should be taking it, and you instead take that advice from a friend or a coffee buddy, you may be doing things the most inefficient way. We want to help you do them the most efficient way possible in your plan. And the only way we can do that is to get started by building a true income plan for you, putting you through the Retirement Atlas process, which we could do for you, generating the clarity and the peace of mind that you need to be successful at the retirement you've always imagined. We would love to do that with you. We would love to get started with you as soon as you are ready. And just like that, our time is coming to an end. So let me wrap up by telling you, I know this show went deeper than it normally does, and I hope that you've found some value in that. But if I get one message across with this particular show, it is that you can retire much sooner than you probably think it's possible. With the clarity around planning and putting those plans into motion where they all talk with one another. Your Social Security, your income strategy, your Medicare, your tax strategy, your legacy strategy, and your investment strategy all talking together, you can have this beautiful plan with clarity and less worry about how long your money's going to last. We can help you do this. 270-600-PLAN or navigate to our website, rdswealth.com, and we'll get that conversation started today. All right, until we talk again, whether it's in person or it's right here on the same station, I want you to remember always to save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. R.D. Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management.